I am Lawrence Chuno, and this is Doing Jazz. Hello everyone, and welcome to Doing Jazz. My name is Lawrence Chuno, and this episode is with vocalist, composer, and pianist Nicole Zuraitis. Nicole's musical sound is distinguished by her remarkably fine-tuned voice and her ability to communicate emotions with accessible lyrics. Her latest album, Hive Mind, comprises 10 songs, which were mostly written by Nicole and beautifully exhibits her diverse musical influences. The songs in Hive Mind carefully makes use of Nicole's wide-ranging musical expertise, which includes, but is not limited to, jazz, opera, and pop. In addition to being a performer, Nicole also writes and licenses songs for TV and films. The song playing in the background is titled Move On. During my conversation with Nicole, you'll hear the songs Episodes, Inscription, and Sunny Side. Towards the end of our conversation, you'll hear the song Failing. These songs can all be found in Nicole Zuraitis' album, Hive Mind. After listening to this episode, you can learn more about Nicole Zuraitis by going to the website of the show, www.doingjazz.net. And you can listen to more episodes of Doing Jazz by subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, and any of the other available podcast vendors. While on iTunes, please rate the show, leave a comment, and share the show with your loved ones. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I present the very talented Nicole Zuraitis. In your face.
Narcolepsy, where we sleep, a chance to dream, forgetting the frenzy. Oh, to let go. Oh, to let go. But we move on and on and on and on and on.
All right, let's do this.
Oh gosh, we're just gonna jump right in.
Yeah. But we're just gonna vibe. We're just gonna talk.
Okay, cool.
All right.
I'm ready.
Nicole Zuraitis, welcome to Doing Jazz.
Thank you so much.
Very
I'm
good.
thrilled.
Thank you for coming. And I'm happy we're finally able to do this because I've been waiting for you because I've read a few about you. The one thing I remember is that you were at the APAP conference. Right? You were.
Well, every year I try and play during APAP.
Okay.
And
So for the listeners, APAP is the Association of Performing Arts Professionals.
right, and
Yeah.
so they have the whole big thing at the Hilton, and then all those people that come in from around the world will book a show in New York and invite people to come out after APAP is done at the Hilton in the later hours of the evening. So we played at 55 Bar, the late set this year. Yeah.
So what I wanted, because I want to learn about it because I also perform, and I don't know. I want to know if it's worth it, if it's worth doing the APAP showcase, because it involves a lot, and you only play for like 20 minutes, right, or like 30 minutes.
So I've never actually done it under my name. I've only booked outside showcases. However, I did perform under. I used to be in a 3-part harmony group.
Okay.
Called Eva, formerly known as the Jammin' Divas, which is why we renamed. And we would do APAP for 3 years in a row. It's only 20 minutes. And I would put up a big stink because it was, I thought, quite a bit of money for only 20 minutes. But the woman who ran the band that I was in said, no, it's worth it. It's worth it. And she was also a booking agent. So for her to have us sing for 20 minutes really was worth it because she already had connections to other booking agents. She was able to get them to come into the room to watch us, et cetera, et cetera. But, I'm not sure if I was to go in there now and do a 20-minute set, unless I had a whole team of people rallying for me.
Yeah.
I think you need a team in order to make that worth it, to really bring people in.
Team? Okay, to bring people in, to bring like agents in, booking
performing
agents.
arts center, booking agents, et cetera, et cetera. You need, I think, or you need some really excellent publicity.
So, but what's the money for?
That's a great question.
Yeah, because I was thinking that if you pay the money, because it's up to like $1,000.
Is it? Oh my! Yeah, that's why.
From like $600.
That's why I didn't do it.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking, if you're gonna pay that amount of money, aren't they supposed, whoever is hosting the showcase, isn't the person supposed to bring all these people in, bring in the booking agent, the record labels, and so forth? I'm just thinking, this is just me.
Honestly,
yeah,
Lorens, I don't. All I know is that because we know APAP happens,
yeah,
and all these people that we've been trying to be in touch with to book gigs ourselves are in town.
Yeah,
we always book a show in the evening.
Okay,
so maybe those same people who spent the whole day inside the hotel, want to go out and have a drink and have a nice time, and we invite them to a show, and we call it like an APAP weekend show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's talk about your album.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you caught me listening to it. So we have to talk about it now. It's called Hive Mind. I want to know where that name came from.
Well, I was actually inspired by a friend of mine, Andrea Daly. And she wrote a song about having like the bees in the brain, kind of keeping her awake at night. And I started thinking how in my previous album, I had a song called To the Hive, and I have this connection to bees. And it all started from when I was living in India, and I unfortunately witnessed a beehive be set on fire by accident when they were trying to smoke out the bees from the place that we were living. And that was a very emotional, terrible moment, which I wrote a song about. And so I already had this kind of bee thing. And I wanted to make a connection from my second album to my third.
Oh, okay.
And when I looked at all the songs together, I realized that a lot of them have to do with mental, either health or mental states. And I tend to say, if I'm feeling a little neurotic or anxious or super busy, I'm like, oh, hive mind moment. If I'm feeling ADD and all of a sudden I start thinking about a million things, I call it the hive mind. And so that's how it kind of all came together. We had the bee thing with the mental health thing, with me being a hive minder all together. So that's where that came from.
Is there any particular song on the album that does it for you, that brings everything together and gives you that hive mind moment?
The song Episodes,
okay,
was originally called Hive Mind. And then for marketing purposes, we didn't want that to be the first song that people gravitated to
because it doesn't have lyrics.
No lyrics. It's simply just repetition and into chaos. And what it is my artistic interpretation of what a schizophrenic mind would be like. And I'm personally invested in that because my grandfather has suffered from schizophrenia for the last 65 years. And it's completely a mystery to me. And I wanted to kind of take my own, I guess you could say, grief and sadness around him and what he suffers from or lives with, and turn it into like an artistic piece. So episode starts with all these crazy sounds, and then morphs into some repetitions, what I would envision would happen if your mind was constantly going in loops, and then goes into a totally chaotic, different time signature, blah, blah, blah at the end. And then it slides into pure imagination, which is what I would wish his mind could see if he didn't live with these horrible delusions. Yeah.
Pure Imagination is another song.
Right.
And then Pure Imagination is a cool one too. And then the last one is Shirley's Waltz.
Right.
Is it Shirley Horn? Is it about Shirley Horn? No.
No, but you know what? I should probably say that. Because I think that would be like, look, I'm super jazzed. Shirley Horn's Waltz. Oh no, it's about it's a grandparent theme, huh? It's about my grandmother. Okay. And she was like the rock of the family, so I thought it would be nice to end with a dedication.
She holds everything together.
Yeah. After just kind of a chaotic, a little bit dark album, just to bring it back and be like, but really things are fine. Yeah, I was listening to the album and I couldn't box it into one genre or one thing, and in a good way, in a very good way. It has the jazz quality musicianship, that all your musicians bring into it, especially you, and then the singing was on point. Impeccable. And then but it gives me I get jazz from it, I get adult contemporary, I get some part of it a little bit country, a little bit, not because of Jolene, which is a country song by Dolly Parton, because the way you did it, I still couldn't box it. You just did it your own way, so my question is, were you trying to go for something, or were you just doing music the way you do it, and it just came out that way? That's a great question, and thank you for first of all for listening and for having me here. Well, I guess my biggest challenge that I've faced since I started doing this whole music career thing is that I couldn't quite put myself into a box that is easy to grasp, and I would love to put out a record that people could say, this is a jazz record and it fits in the jazz this, jazz that, but for some reason it just doesn't come out of me that way.
That's a great thing, though. That's a great thing. I think
I'm embracing it finally.
Yes,
Before I would kind of beat myself up. Oh boy, this sounds like a rock piece, and this sounds like a neo soul, and what's the matter with you? Can't you just write one thing? And I think the whole reason why I can't quite fit into one box is because I've been singing every type of music every day for the last 15 years. I started as an opera singer. I did musical theater, and
why you do that about musical theater?
I love musical theater. I miss the theater like you would not believe. There's nothing more magical, but it's tough when you do jazz vocals. You don't want people to know you did theater sometimes because then they'll suddenly hear different qualities. But I did the whole theater thing, and then I started doing jazz, started doing blues, started songwriting. And then when I moved to New York, I realized that I needed to make a living. And so I started playing the piano quite terribly at first, and realized that I could make a good living if I learned how to play the piano and sing well, solo. And so I managed to get myself a job playing in Midtown as the piano woman, which is, Billy Joel has that song. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Well, and then they sit at the bar and they put bread in my jar and say, man, what are you doing here? Well, that's literally what I do now when I'm not touring. And I sing every type of music because I take requests. So someone says, play me a good old jazz standard. Do you know any Sinatra? And then they'll say, do you know the Marshall Tucker Band? Or can you sing me the new Lady Gaga song? What about, you got any Bonnie Raitt? Elton John. How about some Nina Simone? You know, and I take requests and I sing every single type of music every single night when I'm not touring. And I think that it has become harder and harder for me now for my songwriting to fit into one genre because I am constantly playing different types of music. So that's the long answer.
That's a good answer. And I now have a question, because you said you started playing the piano initially terribly, but then you started taking requests. How could you do that?
It's a great, okay. So
like, because I'm imagining you must have played the piano from when you were really young, right?
So when I was young,
okay,
I tried to take piano lessons, but I was too stubborn to read the music, and I wanted to do everything by ear. So my uncle would give me lessons, and I would pretend to read the music, but in fact, all I would do when he would leave is just remember it by ear and play it like that. So I stopped taking piano lessons and kept playing by ear. Okay. And then when I moved back to the city in 2009, I went to audition for a club day agency as a singer. And when I was singing for them, they said, "Great. So now can you dance a little bit while you sing?" I was like, "Ooh, okay, I'll try." So I danced, not particularly well. And they're like, "Great. Now can you kind of look sexy for us?" Oh my God. And I said, "Oof, I don't know about that. I'm a little shy, but I can play the piano." Ooh. And they're like, "Really?" So I went to the piano and I played a pretty atrocious version, just chordal version of "Don't Stop Believing" in the wrong key. And they said, "You're hired." Wow. So they hired me as a piano player. And then for about 3 years, they threw me into the fire, literally. They'd throw me on stage to the Mandarin Oriental, and they would have me try and play the piano, and I would just learn by watching the other piano player. And it took me about 3 years, lots of embarrassing, lots of tears. But eventually, when you're forced to learn 10, 12 songs every weekend for a wedding, because you're trying to make a living and put food on the plate in New York City, I learned every single week 10 songs. And so they just kind of got into my hands, and it got easier and easier. And now I can do songs off the cuff. People ask me for things that I've heard like 2 or 3 times, and I can just play it. It's very bizarre how it, but I guess I was forced to practice for 365 days a year.
That is so mad cool, Nico. You don't know how cool that is. It's really good. I'm sure you know, because you're putting out awesome stuff now.
Well, gosh, we're just trying to make it. Just trying to make it in this crazy world.
I want to talk about a few songs that I really like on the album. The first one was Inscription. I think it's just because of the vibe. There's nothing deep about that. It's just because of the lively island vibe of it.
Yes.
Were you just going for that?
Well, yeah. So I've been listening to tons of Stevie Wonder, tons of Steely Dan, and I wanted to write a song that was fun and kind of brought it to life. And also my new husband, he studied in Brazil, and so he was really into samba. And when I started playing the song for him, when I was working on it, he said, "Babe, that's like a samba funk." And so he started playing a samba funk groove to it, and all of a sudden we had this kind of worldly music song that he has now arranged for his 9-piece ensemble, which is super fun as well. Nice. So that's how the Inscription came about.
Nice. Another one is Sunny Side. Because of the bass line, whenever I write my songs, I start with the bass line. I don't play the bass at all, but I always start with a bass groove. It goes dum 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 dum. I think I'm messing it up. Dum 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 dum.
That's it. Yeah. Oh man, that one is. Well, it sounds like we are very similar with the way that we write, because I don't play the bass, but I feel like bass lines are very important.
Yeah.
That song is about how difficult it is to live with somebody. I'm sure no one can relate to that. But yeah, that's another one that I guess when I first moved to the city, I went to a lot of fusion shows, Now Versus Now, Snarky Puppy, and I realized a lot of the songs that I really enjoyed would start with a really strong bass. So that's probably where that came from. If I was to think about how I would compose kind of a fusiony pop jazz song. Yeah.
Then this one gets me. You got me at the word China. I'm never such a guidance, only professional defiance. This heart I made in China is top-notch quality.
You're my favorite person on earth. I can't believe you know my song. I feel like my heart is going to explode out of happiness. That's so cool.
So the melody, the lyrics for that one, it's just like it's so deep with a tinge of comedy to it, and it just got me, you know.
I so appreciate you
wanna
actually
talk about
hearing.
it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's
called Failing.
Failing. Yeah, the chorus is I know, we're failing.
I know, we're failing.
You can't treat the disease if you don't know what's ailing.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's obviously a relationship song.
Yeah.
But yeah, this heart's not made in China was just...
It's top-notch quality. That's a
little
word.
bit of a political dig,
Yeah.
I would say, since, our current
Yeah, I know. We don't
political
want to go
climate
into that.
loves to talk about that. So yeah, that's I'm so glad. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm gonna. This is a learning curve for me because I'm not used to taking such kind compliments.
You better get used to it.
I'm glad we're working on it.
This material is good. Yeah.
Thank you.
You released it with Dot Time. Yeah,
Right.
with Dot Time Records. Yeah. This, I don't know what to ask you about it, but a lot of independent musicians struggle to get a label, work with them. And right now there's this argument or this discussion of, hey, should I look for a label or should I just stay by myself and do it by myself? And some people do it wonderfully by themselves. There's this lady that a friend of mine now, I interviewed her, Lenny Stern.
Oh, great.
Mike Stern's wife.
I've seen her. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's released at least 20 albums by herself. She just has her own recording label thing that she just puts out her own stuff. And she's so content with it.
Wow.
So, but I know some of my friends, when they make an album, they wait until they get a label to work with. And I can see both sides. I can see the reason why I should wait. But I just want to learn a little bit about your process, because I don't think the first album you released it, what is it called? The second one. The second one is Pariah Anthem. Yep. Okay.
That was independent.
Yep. But this one is with Dot Time.
Right. And so this was also an experiment for me, because I had my first album independent, second album independent. I released a couple albums with this folk band that I toured with, all independently, singles independently. And then for this album, I really wanted to get into the European / anything not just in America market. And I thought I must find a label that is based in Europe and in America. And I just want to give it a shot. Okay. And it's very difficult to get people to pick you up, like you said, because of the industry and physical CDs. People don't even have CD players anymore. I'm trying to sell CDs at my shows, and people say, oh, well, I can't wait till my next long road trip. So I think my car still has a CD player. So, there's not much in it for them unless you like selling tons of digital downloads, et cetera, et cetera. But for me, I just wanted to have next to my name a label, because it made me feel kind of...
You have a partner, you have people that believe in you. I know that.
There's that team thing again.
Yeah. Yes.
So I was really thrilled to be part of Dot Time. They have some great artists, including another New York couple New York-based ones like Kavita Shaw. She's a New York-based artist as well. Kiara Itzi, she's also great. So it just felt like a good thing for me. And in the future, I would love to start my own label, maybe with my husband Dan Pugach, because he also just got on a label for his first record. But I have so much respect for Lenny Stern for doing it all herself, and I would be interested in maybe doing that for the next one. You know, you never know. It helps to have a team.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm very grateful for that. So,
so did you record the album by yourself and you did everything by yourself?
Exactly.
And then approached them and they're like, okay, we're going to pick this up.
Precisely. So I did a licensing deal.
Okay.
Where I paid for everything, you know, just to get it there, mix, master, recording, etc. And then you license it to the label and then they distribute it for you, which is priceless to me, because I don't know where to send anything. So they're sending it to abroad and to radio stations abroad. It's priceless. So it's just.
How about PR? Were they in charge of PR too?
They have their own in-house PR team that they do PR. Okay. I also hired Scott Thompson.
Nice.
I worked with him on my second album very briefly. And he's a gem. Yeah. He's an awesome guy.
He picks up the phone whenever you call him.
That's what I'm saying.
There to pick up the phone. That gives me some kind of peace of mind. In my mind, I'm like, even if you're not doing anything, just the fact that you're there for me when I want to talk about this baby that I just gave birth to.
Exactly. He never makes you feel like he's too busy for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Really special guy.
Okay, let's go back to the very beginning.
Okay.
Where are you from?
I was born in Waterbury, Connecticut.
Okay.
And I went to high school in Waterbury. I grew up in Litchfield County. My parents are both from Waterbury, Connecticut. Italian, Lithuanian, family. And I always sang. But
you've always sung.
Right, but I was never like the star. You know, I was always kind of a little bit of a late bloomer, kind of figuring things out a little too late in the game, you know. Yeah. But I played the trombone.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really popular.
That's so awesome.
But if I was smart, I would have kept playing it because, wow, that would have been so terrific if I still played the trombone.
Yeah, that would have been overwhelming though, because your piano skills now and your repertoire, your really wide-ranging repertoire. I don't know how much time in a day. I'm sure you can do it both on the piano and on the trombone bed.
That's true.
We have only 24 hours in a day.
You're right. You know what? You're totally right. That's what I'm going to tell myself from now on. That's awesome.
So, did you go to school for music?
I don't know where my guidance counselor was, but I went to school for opera at NYU. And I joke about it because it seems like such a bizarre thing to choose to major in, especially at such a great school. But I'm thrilled that I did because I got a terrific vocal training. And I got to live in New York for 4 years in very, character developing age. So it kind of made me street smart, and I did work study. So I worked really hard and to get as many free things as I possibly could out of NYU. Made some great connections and friends. My only regret is that I could have spent those 4 years studying jazz or songwriting or something that I'm actually doing now. But everyone has a path, and like I said, I'm a little bit of a late bloomer, so I didn't start singing jazz until I was like 23, 24. So only about 10 years I've been doing this. Wow, 10 years. Woo.
Yeah. Wow. So when did you move to New York? Oh, you went to school in New York.
Right. And then I traveled the world, did the whole like find yourself,
Where have you been to? You've been to India, you said.
Yep.
Okay.
India, Peru, Australia, Israel, Europe, Sri Lanka, the Maldives. Wow. I love traveling. I still haven't gotten to Thailand, China, or Japan. I can't believe it.
Wow. What two places have inspired you the most out of these places?
India definitely had a massive effect on me.
Okay.
I would say it was India accosts your senses. And when I was living there, I was teaching in a university, and it was such a, I don't know if the word is paradox, but I would stay in these brand new dorms that they had built for the faculty and students. And I would walk past actual villagers who lived not in an air-conditioned dorm to get to our brand new state-of-the-art music school. And then I'd walk home past those same people, and it was just, I've never felt so fortunate in my life to be, I felt very aware of the gifts that I've been given and an acute need to share my gifts because I've been so blessed in my life. I don't know. I don't mean to sound like a preacher, but that was a huge thing for me to realize that my life is beautiful.
I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I totally understand it. Yeah. Any other place?
Let's see. I loved.
You don't have to if you have to think about it. I think India. India
is good. I also love Peru. Peru was so great. Okay. It's another spiritually place for me. Yeah. So climbing Machu Picchu was climbing to Machu Picchu was pretty
nice,
pretty epic. Yeah.
Nice. I was on your website looking up things, and I ran into I read up something regarding your a new publishing collaboration you have with a producer called Nicole and Riot.
Oh, right. So I'm trying to right now. So I have the licensing deal with .time, but I would love to submit, since I write so many songs of all different genres, I would love to submit to be on the licensing for different agencies for film and TV. And that's definitely a huge goal of mine now, is to get on the roster of an agency that could, if Grey's Anatomy is running, throw failing on there, something like that. That's definitely, and so I collaborate with different people. One of those people is this producer, Tim Walsh, and we created this alter ego project called Nicole and the Riot, which is straight up electronic pop. But I don't generally, we put it on hiatus so that I can really focus, because like you said, there's only 24 hours in the day.
Yeah.
And I was finding that between touring constantly with this 3-part harmony folk band, trying to do Nicole and the Riot and become like a little pop electronic, internet wonder, and then still being a certified jazz singer who's committed to her craft, I just found that I was swimming in a pool that wasn't going anywhere. So I needed to, leap out of the pool and go into a river that actually moved. And so we started focusing on just my project, at least for now.
Yeah, nice. How do you get gigs?
I would say that there is, especially in New York, there's tiers. Like when you first move here, you're just constantly asking for gigs and you're getting no's. And then the next tier is asking for gigs and people say yes. And then the next tier is people start calling you for gigs and you're like, yeah. And then the next tier from that is people start calling you for gigs and then you're not available because you have too many.
That's so nicely put. That's so nicely
That's the way
put.
it is.
Yes. I totally agree with you.
Right?
Yeah. Even though I'm still at the bottom tier. But
I'll help you.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. Oh, so you're at the stage where people call you, right?
Right. And
nice.
I mean, there's so many things that I want to do that I haven't been called for. But then I'm grateful for the things that I have been called for and the opportunities that now I can recommend people. People come to me for recommendations. It's such a beautiful change of pace from when you first move here, and you're just you're just hungry to just do anything.
Yeah, and you're in such a unique, nice little space because of the different things you can do. You know, those people, like you mentioned how you wish you had just focused on jazz or something like that right from a young age. But those people who just sing only jazz standards, I don't know how many of them can do the stuff you do, like the kind of gigs you get, the kind of like something like Nikki and the Riots. How many of them could conceive such a project? You know, so I'm just saying this to say that you're kick-ass. So,
like I said, you're my favorite. Oh man, I needed to come here just to, just for a little self-confidence. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
A little therapy just to remind you of how awesome you are, because you
I'll
are.
Take it. Yeah. I will take it. Thank you, my friend. Wow.
Nice. I want to ask you a question. I want to learn a little bit when it comes to like technicalities. You play a lot of songs. You're like a walking jukebox. You're like one woman jukebox. How do you learn a new song?
I learn everything kinesthetically.
Okay.
So when I'm learning a song, I have to actually sing along to it, and I feel the muscle where the song sits. Yeah. So I learn by feeling, and so that's, I think, how I can learn things quickly. It's almost like a muscle memory. And also, I would say that because I know so many songs now, just by the nature of trying to make a living and doing that, doing the piano woman thing, I can guess chord progressions. I can guess melody, and for example, I was just on vacation last week, and I didn't learn a song for my gig last night, Saturday evening, because I said, "Oh, I can do this real easy." And then when I landed from my vacation Friday night, I started listening to the song, and it was so hard that I was thinking, "Oh my gosh, how am I going to learn this?" And then, just as usual, I just had to listen to it a couple times, and then eventually I can kinesthetically feel the music and where it changes. That sounds crunchy hippie granola, but that's
I understand. I understand.
That's the way I learn.
So when it comes to this has to do with both singing and play, and both voice and the piano. You have the same approach.
I wish. The piano is still, I have so much to learn. I'm truly nowhere near where I'd like to be as a player. But because I sing with my whole body, my whole self, it kind of charges into my hands, and then I can at least give the same energy with my hands, albeit I can't, take an incredible solo or, shred like I would like to, but it tends to, they kind of go hand in hand, but the piano drags.
They come out beautifully, I must say. Like in the album, the piano solos, they were top notch. They were not made in China, just to let you know.
Well, just to be sure, some of them are me, some of them are Carmen's stuff.
Okay, but still.
Yeah, she. I was one of my dear friends, Carmen Staff, is the pianist, and she plays the Wurlitzer and the Rhodes on the album, and she. Whew,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
If one day I could take a solo half like her, it would be a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to conclude with a little game I call turn up and mute. I'll give you two options. You turn one up and we mute the other. But this is the caveat. The caveat is that whatever you mute, it doesn't mean you don't like that. It just means for this moment, you're really feeling the one that you turned up. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
All right. Be careful.
I will.
All right. You were in opera. You still relate to opera. Leontine Price, Jesse Norman.
Turn up Leontine.
Oh, okay. Okay. You have any reason why?
I was always a huge fan.
Okay.
Totally loved her. But I believe she had a little bit of a diva attitude, which I kind of admired. I admired her confidence.
Yeah.
I'll take some of that one day. Yeah.
India, Peru. I know you love both of them. Which one are you feeling at the moment for any reason?
I would turn up India.
Okay.
Because I miss it. I miss my students. I miss my friends there, and I miss the people and the dogs and everything. Yeah.
Wow. Now the last one. You ready?
Yes.
Episodes failing.
I would turn up failing. I know.
I hope you're not doing it because of me.
No, I am. Because episodes it's dark. It's such dark content. And when I was releasing this album and coming up with the concept and realizing it all was based around mental health, I said, I'll have no problem talking about that. And then it's such a sad thing to talk about. So at least failing is kind of funny and truthful.
Yep.
So I'll turn up failing for a little bit of comedy.
Awesome. All right. Nicole Zuraitis, thank you very much for coming on. I hope we can do this again.
It'll be my absolute pleasure. You make me so happy. You make my heart sing. Thank you so much, Lorens.
Thank you. Later.
This heart's not made in China. It's top-notch quality. But what happens during meltdowns? A malfunction of the inner realm. Valves no longer going around. A complete anomaly. Oh no, we don't have an expiration or best by date. Oh no, we don't have an explanation for our full plate. I know and I know and I know we're failing. I know and I know and I know we're failing. The words that we say, they don't do a damn thing. You can't treat the disease if you don't know what's ailing. There wasn't a prognosis, so hard when you don't know what the problem is. But that little spark that I saw held a burning chemistry. Maybe we are codependent, misfiring and collapsing in our element. Textbook with our judgment, offending jealousy. Oh no, we don't have an expiration or best by day. Oh no, we just need some inspiration to shed this weight. I know and I know and I know we're failing. I know and I know and I know we're failing. The words that we say, they don't do a damn thing. You can't treat the disease if you don't know what's ailing. always say they don't do